Hello and welcome to In the Flow with Robin Wilt, your spiritual CFO, and myself, Jessica Kay. We are excited tonight to bring you the first edition of our astrological forecast. So we will be covering some things that may have just happened in the last couple of days and that we'll be seeing over the next couple of weeks. And we look forward to bringing this to you on a little bit more of a regular basis to let you know what's going on in the skies and how it's going to be affecting us in our day-to-day. So Robin, start us out with what's going on.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to share with y'all, like when Jessica and I were chatting about doing this, even though we both geek out on like all of the in-depth information, I know that sometimes it can be a lot to hear, like every single aspect that's happening. So we want to keep it just very simple, and easy to kind of digest, right? If it's a lot of information and it's not really things that we can translate into our daily lives, we're missing the point of astrology. Like it's meant to help us to move through these different cycles of our lives. So we are going to keep it fairly just simple and go over a few things, but focusing on these things can be really helpful for you in your own life and kind of easy enough to like pinpoint in your own chart without you needing to know a ton of astrological information. So we're going to first, right? Today is we're recording this on May 22nd. So 2 days ago, the sun moved into Gemini and it will be there until June 20th. So we're going to talk about that energy. We're going to talk about the full moon that is tomorrow on May 25th. It's a Sagittarius full moon. So when we're in Gemini season, the sun is in Gemini. That means the moon is opposite. So the moon is in, did I say that right? Yeah, the moon would be in Sagittarius. So it is a full moon in Sagittarius. And then we're also going to talk about the Gemini new moon. So that's when the sun and the moon are right next to each other. That's happening later in this time period. So there's also some other energies that we're going to kind of pull into this, but we just wanted, again, to give y'all, we don't want to just make your head explode because I'm a Gemini, by the way. I know how like overcomplicated we can get. So, you okay if I just kind of go into Gemini energy, Jessica?
Yeah, and I also would love for you to share with our listeners about how you started out with your reading by pulling a couple cards.
Yeah. So the cards that I got for this energy are the Magician and the Six of Wands. So Magician energy is Mercury, which Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And it seems very fitting that the kind of the energy of the past few months of the beginning of 2024, for myself, for Jessica, for a lot of our clients, if y'all feel this way, please drop in the comment box. It has felt like a little bit like climbing uphill. Like it was more around releasing old energies and kind of preparing ourselves for this Gemini energy that actually seems to be coming forward to make things a lot smoother. So this mutable energy that we have with Gemini, all right, Gemini energy can be very lively, very energetic. And along with a couple of the other aspects, it's really kind of giving us the juice, but also the groundedness to help us to move forward with our goals, maybe in a way that we weren't able to previously when we were in that past phase of like release. And, it's just, we're still kind of in a time period at the beginning of the year where a lot of that is happening. It's funny, right? That we all tend to think like January 1st is going to be our New Year's resolutions and we're going to like come out of the gate. And we might in some ways, but there's still that energy of, okay, we're kind of allowing things to move at a slower pace. And it feels like Gemini is the energy that's like, okay, we've done all this other work and this energy and this purging and this healing. Now it's really kind of time to make things happen, right? This is a card of success. The Six of Wands, like he looks very satisfied with the progress he's making. The Magician, of course, is that ability to manifest and to bring things down into the physical. And I don't, so as we're recording this the day before the full moon, I don't know if y'all are starting to feel this. I am starting to feel this already. I told Jessica that like right before we were going to hop on the call, all of a sudden I was like, oh gosh, like I'm so tired. Like I can always feel the full moons that hit me very deeply in my chart since I'm a Gemini, like it's, it's hitting me. My body, like I usually feel it. Do you know what degree the full moon is at?
Yeah, the full moon is at the 2.55. So it's the first decan. So it's the body. We're going to feel it very physically.
Okay. So the way that you can kind of play around with this energy, you can look to see where you have Gemini in your chart. So you'll see it's like an eye, right? Is that an eye? A double eye. God, I'm not kidding y'all. My brain is like it's almost a double eye. You'll see that in your natal chart. And it's going to show you the house or the area of your life where this energy of Gemini, liveliness and kind of this energized vibe is coming through. Anything else you want to add to that, Jessica?
Yeah, if we look at it at a galactic scale, this is Pleiadian energy. So the sun is in Gemini and it's conjunct the Pleiades. So for me, that is going to be really playful energy, very energetic energy. Like Robin said, it's mutable air. So there's that intelligence, that logical mind, but there's also a playfulness about it. So not getting super rigid, but really expressing yourself in new ways. Also, Pleiades for me is also about the future. They are where a lot of the star seeds are going, and they're coming from the Pleiades to the present moment. So I feel like this is allowing us to tap into that future awareness that we have inside of us and really see where we're moving. If we think about it, spring started in Aries and now we're in Gemini. So we're getting ready to close out the spring and move into the summer, which is, the seed has been planted and it's growing and we're getting ready to kind of move into the next phase. So it's just wonderful that we have this mutable energy to help us move. And I know, like Robin said, myself and several of my clients who have felt stuck over the last several months, it's like the floodgates are opening and everything is coming out. So as I've been saying, self-care, 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 go out and have fun and play and allow this to move through you. I was working on someone today and it was like stuff was just coming out. They didn't even need to sit there and feel through all of it. Like we've done all of that work. We need to just let it go. And the best way to do that is to relax and have fun and let it flow out of us. Don't grab a hold of it so you can ruminate on it again. Let it go. And that's where Gemini can have a tendency to get in their mind and in their head. And as we were saying, as we move into this full moon, it's about the body. So if you're feeling constriction, you're feeling pain, you're feeling tightness, move it out. Move it out. Even, a brisk walk, like get some movement into the body to let all this stuff go. And that's going to help the rest of these aspects that we're talking about move through us easier. So have fun. Be aware that you're in touch with the future and we can bring that right through. And like Robin has that magician, we are manifesting right now. We are moving forward. There's the barriers are gone. We need to step out of the way and let it just flow through us. So that's the main things I have. The other thing too is, we look at the connections, we're trying the supergalactic center. And that's about pulling in our innate gifts around being able to merge. So merging that higher wisdom in, merging in our beingness and trusting that divine, like we're tapped in a way that we can bring through wisdom. So just having that trust in ourselves that, we've done the work, I get the sense it's going to feel weird because we are expecting things to be more difficult than they are. And we're going to have to do a lot more work like we've been used to. And this is really, times are changing. That's not the case. We're not having to do a lot of heavy lifting to get a huge release. the huge release is happening. And it's going to happen with us and all of those around us. So just being open and having space for that too, as we're allowing and we're taking care of ourselves, knowing that we're going to see people needing to release a lot around us too. So, even more so stepping back, having a little humor and being playful about it.
Yeah, I love like as you were sharing, this has come up for me personally a lot lately. And then I think we've chatted about it like when we recorded the episode with her. Right, Gemini, it's a lot about the mind and our thought processes and how we speak. So the more that we can tune in with divine mind instead of our lower ego or human mind, that's also going to be something that can really put us right. And the magician, like he's got his little wand that he's pointed up skyward. It's like imagining that we're connecting with that higher mind instead of feeling like, right, you can see it in people a lot. Like I noticed this in sessions, and the reason I can notice it is because I also do the same thing. I can overthink what to have for dinner, where to put something, right? Like it's the Gemini, it can be the Gemini shadow. So you'll notice like people start to like they look up this way, or they'll start to like look around, or it's like they're looking for things like outside of themselves rather than being in the heart or connecting with divine mind. So right, like putting your hand on your heart, dropping into your heart space, or consciously when I did ayahuasca a few years ago, the shamana that I sat with, she would have us do, she called them mind body practices. So Shamana Amy. So it's like literally taking your hands and like imagining your energy going up to divine mind. So it's like I connect to divine mind and just start to feel that energy channel that you create. And it can kind of help to break through like some of that those old patterns that we all have them, right? We all have. For those of you who are annoyed by Gemini people, you have Gemini in your chart too. Like I love it when people are like, oh, I can't stand this sign. I'm like, well, guess what, you have it in your chart somewhere too. So
It's showing up for you too somewhere, right? Well, and that's where it's always about a mirror. So things show up in our lives to help us be aware of how that's happening inside of us too. So I love the idea of emotional responsibility, and I'm not always perfect at it either. I do project some stuff out there, but just bringing that mirror in and saying, what's going on with me? What's going on inside me right now? And what's being triggered and requesting to be healed?
yeah. So, right during, right, I would say during this time period, using the tools of Gemini, so writing, communicating with people. If you find that you feel confused about your next steps, or if you find that you feel like you're not quite sure, I was thinking about this today where it's like we can just say to the universe or God or spirit, higher power, goddess, I'm not sure. Please show me the way. Please give me clarity. Like we can take for granted how powerful that is sometimes to just say, I don't know, right? Like the mind is confusing me. I feel torn between two things. Please show me the way. Please give me a sign. I can't even remember the name of the book, but it's a book all about signs. And it's reminding us to ask for very specific signs, right? Like if you're not sure about an option, you can just say, well, show me a purple elephant if I'm supposed to take this job, or show me, a peacock by tomorrow if I'm supposed to continue. Like you can be very specific with these things and communicate, right? It's also communicating with the universe and allowing yourself to be supported in that way. Learning to interpret the signs can sometimes be the challenge. So asking your guides, asking the universe for clarity and ease can also help you to, to kind of get that communication where it's more in line rather than, like this. And you're like, what are they saying to me?
Well, and I love that too, because it's not going to be perfect. It is a process of getting to know and learn ourselves, our higher self, and our guides. So it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay to ask for, tell me more, say it louder, make it clearer. Like, just like you would be having a conversation with somebody like sitting there across from you, like, I didn't quite understand that. Can you tell me it in a different way? Can you say it a little bit louder? And this is a perfect time to explore that because it's about having fun. It's about joy and exploration. And, as the full moon coming in tomorrow, that's that Gemini logical mind linked with that higher mind of the Sagittarius. Like, this is a beautiful opportunity to find that balance, to seek clarity and move yourself to another level. They're both mutable signs, mutable water or mutable air for Gemini, mutable fire for Sagittarius. So it's just beautiful opportunity to shift, use them to power each other to really create something magical. So how do you want to up level yourself as we move in these energies into more creativity? And for me, I even thought, Gemini, Sagittarius is about travel and it's about higher wisdom. And why does travel just have to be what we do with our physical body? Like, why not use this as an opportunity to travel spiritually and energetically and to expand those gifts and your awareness around that higher knowledge? Asking your star family, because there are definitely connections there, to bring that information in to your being so that you can integrate it during this time. And then you have like that higher wisdom coming in through the Sagittarius and that Gemini integrating in a really logical way that you can express and communicate to others. So I find this full moon to be really powerful, kind of exciting, and another way to up level. What do you think?
I totally agree. And so here's kind of a, if you're not, because the challenging part, right? Like, I'll just be transparent. Like, sometimes the challenging part about doing just general information about astrology is because it's going to affect each one of us differently. So this is where, right, I like to use this with clients. I use it for myself. I know Jessica does as well. Pull out your tarot cards, like ask the universe, hey, how is this going to affect me? How is this energy? What can I best utilize this energy for? So for me, like, full moons are always a time of release. And right, tuning in with your energy. Like, is that true for you? I believe that we all are kind of wired differently. So I think traditionally full moons are more for release, but maybe ask your guides, like, what am I releasing right now? What am I not seeing that's hidden? The moon can show us those shadow aspects that have been previously hidden. So I think it's a beautiful, like, transition of energy throughout this 30-day period, because we have that full moon on the 23rd. And then 2 days later, we have Jupiter moving into Gemini. So Jupiter is a slower moving planet. And the last time it was in Gemini was 12 years ago. So Jupiter is the great benefic. It wants to bring us blessings. It expands everything that it's touching. So it's like we have that release from the full moon on the 23rd. We're getting this clarity, just what Jessica said. We're kind of getting these, the higher mind insights, the divine mind that's coming in. And then we have this opportunity to be set up with Jupiter going into Gemini, like bringing us that ease and that flow. Then, right, it lines up like really beautifully. Then on June 6th, we have a new moon in Gemini, right? Beautiful new opportunities, kind of in the same theme, because there's a lot of Gemini energy over the next month. Like, there's a lot of planets moving into Gemini. And then on June 8th, just a few days after the new moon, and we'll get into these a little bit deeper as we feel called, but Mars moves into Taurus. So it's really taking that momentum that we have and it's bringing us that grounding quality. Like, we've kind of purged, we've had Jupiter move in and kind of expand everything. Maybe it brings us more clarity around some things that we need to release before we start that new cycle of the new moon on the 6th, because right, new moons are all about those beginnings. So new beginnings in areas that are ruled by Gemini, just overall, but also in your own chart. So, right, if Gemini is in your house of career, for you, it's like identifying what are these new beginnings that I desire in my career, right? If it's in your 7th house, it would be partnerships and so on. So it really is giving us this like beautiful flow from May 20th to June 20th that is kind of setting us up for success, I believe, right through from now until like the end of the year. So you might want to dream a little bit bigger than you've allowed yourself to dream before. Especially with that connection with the Sagittarius full moon tomorrow. It's like maybe what has been holding you back from having those more expansive dreams, because it can't hurt to ask. It's like, always like when you manifest or better. So I want a job that pays me 500 grand a year or better, right? Just throw it out there. Like whatever it is, just kind of add that as as your little, hey, universe, I'm willing to accept more if you want to bring it to me. So, Jessica, how do you feel about that flow? Like I could see some things like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is like, and that's what we've been talking about. This mutable energy is about flow. So we've had this backlog, and now the gates are wide open. We're flowing, we're moving. Jupiter's also around expansion. So even think about that, that 12-year cycle. Where were you 12 years ago? How much expansion have you had in the way that you communicate, the way you think, and how adaptable you are? Gemini being a mutable thing, that's adaptability. So how much expansion have you have? Where were you? Where are you now? To really get some perspective, especially since it's been kind of a hard year for a lot of people, we need that perspective to realize like, no, we didn't go back. We're not in the same place that we were. And even for me, I've had some of the same lessons like, okay, we're seeing this again, but it doesn't mean that it has to stick around. So it's okay, same thing. I'm seeing the same thing that I did before. I'm responding different and I'm allowing it to flow through. So this is all going to be about what's moving. Like you said, what are we releasing? What's moving out? When things move out, we have that room for expansion and for new beginnings. So where are things starting, especially as we move into that summer cycle that we're going to run into in June? So there's so much opportunity for shifting, for expansion, and even with having that Mars and Taurus, grounding that fire a little bit because we have been burning and churning so much. I'm hearing exhaustion from most people. I feel tired. Like I am tired of the stagnation, but also it feels I'm very tired even with release. Like I just feel like I want to be still. And it's okay during this time. The energy's so much moving that we're not going to have to effort a lot. We can kind of have our passions, our Mars, grounded into this earthy nurturing where we can feel taken care of and we can allow the expansive energies to flow because they're moving. We're not going to have to make them move. So ground that passion and that fire and that initiative, ground it into the earth, nurture it a little bit, and allow the seeds that you've been planting to grow. Allow nature, allow the energies, allow the cycles to move them in the directions that they're wanting to move, and sit back and, it's this effortless manifestation. That energy of just allowing, trusting, letting it go, letting it be, and really feeling like the universe is on our side. When we look at that full moon energy, the full moon is sextile the supergalactic center. So what does that mean? That means that supergalactic center energy is coming through, that merging. So how are we merging the release and the expansion? How are we merging the mutable fire and the mutable air? How are we merging all of these things together? And we have that wisdom coming through. We just have to reach up and say, okay, thank you. Thank you guys for bringing this through and allowing it to shift for me. So, and it's also about the body. The full moon is going to be in the physical decan. So if our bodies are undergoing massive change, we're learning about merging, all of these things are happening to us. We really need to take care of the body, have fun, move it because we're in the Pleiades and the sun with the Pleiades, enjoy ourselves, and then just relax. We got to let the tension out of the body so things can move through easily. And that's where we're going to feel it. So when you're feeling blocked, when you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling a lot of pain in the body, see what you can do to move it so that it can move through and not just get stuck and butt up against. Because that's the other thing that I have found with my clients is it just kind of compounds. Like if it starts getting stagnant, it compounds. You got to move it through. Salt, hot baths, not hot baths, but having a warm bath with Epsom salts, doing things like that that's going to help you relax and allow things to move. Is really going to help you. So don't let it get backed up. Don't let it get stuck.
Yeah, I love that. That's like such a it's funny because as you were chatting, I don't know if I've ever thought about this, but right, Gemini and Sag are both mutable energies and they have so much to do with the mind, right? Gemini is like the lower mind, Sagittarius would kind of be the higher mind, but it's interesting that we can get so stuck in the mind. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's a mutable energy and it's meant to be flowing and we're not supposed to attach so much to it, but we do. Like that's what we do. Like we get so stuck in the energy of thoughts and like thinking that thoughts belong to us, right? Like I didn't Deborah say that one time, like that, if we were to die tomorrow, like the thought energy is still going to be here, right? Our soul is going to go. So our mentor, Deborah Loans, one of our mentors, when she said that, it just made so much sense to me. I'm like, oh yeah, we identify and we think that these thoughts are ours and we're constantly like taking ownership of them. But it's just energy that's meant to be very fluid. So I love that, like making sure that you're clearing yourself consistently, making sure that you're taking baths, especially since there is that connection with the body. The other thing that is important to remember is that Pluto is in retrograde during this time period. So Pluto went into retrograde in Aquarius on May 2nd, and it's going to be there through October 11th. So when I kind of pulled cards to like see how that energy related to what we've been chatting about, we get the Knight of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles. So it is kind of assisting us in the slowing down, right? So what do you feel about that, Jessica? Because right, if we think about Pluto as like that release, do you feel like it's a slowdown of the release, or is it that it's kind of processing through our bodies in a different way?
Yeah, well, with the retrograde, it's also like internalizing it. So
Mm,
go into Aquarius, power to the people. And it's just like I remember for me, like when I felt that energy, it was like always kind of fighting like against that, patriarchy or those things that I felt that were constrictive. Like it just
mm,
felt like like a burning passion. It's almost like that Knight of Wands, like I have to stand up and I'm feeling the energies pushing me to stand up for what I need. And that voice needed to be heard. So there was like a pressure to it. And with that Pluto going into retrograde, it's like, oh, I can breathe. I can breathe. And people can say things and things can happen around me. And I don't feel the immediate, like I've got to come in and I've got to, fight and find that equality. And that's that Mars and Taurus too. It's like it's calming those fire and that passion and that reactionary behavior. And Pluto is about transformation, so it's like okay, let's turn the transformation inside. You don't have to worry so much about pushing this new earth and new ideology and this balance out there. How can we balance inside? How can we merge inside and release? And I know for a lot of people who have been doing lots and lots of work, that balance is really going to be resting. So that's where it's like the transformation is shifting to resting, to being a little bit more inert, allowing it to flow through you. And that's where I see that Pluto in retrograde really helping us a lot to turn inside and then let go and allow it to move through us so that when it goes direct in October, we're going to feel like different people. We're going to be responding to those urges for equality and for that hierarchy where we're getting rid of the hierarchy and we're making everything equal. We're going to respond to it different because we've gotten more wisdom from this full moon and we've gotten a little bit more information for our logical mind to process how we move forward. So all of these energies over the next several months while Pluto is in retrograde is going to help us to show up when Pluto goes direct with a lot more wisdom, a lot more clarity, more patience, and the ability to move with that energy in a more powerful way for the collective.
Yeah, it's funny. Right. Like even if we look at these two cards, like they're almost like the polar opposites of each other. It's like, God, my brain today. The Knight of Wands is like, charge, let's go. Like it's very like outwardly kind of directed. And we look at the Nine of Pentacles and she's just like, nope. All right, I've got that yellow solar plexus energy. Like I'm very much just continuing to bring it back here. Like what are my goals? What are my desires in this life? Like, again, bringing that joy to me. I always think like yellow is my favorite color. I always think of just happiness when I think of yellow, like that source of, because right, none of this stuff should be, I shouldn't say none of it, but right, life is meant to be enjoyed. So I guess because I feel like we're kind of reaching a wrapping up point, unless Jessica says otherwise, but I think the bottom line is Gemini is that very playful, like trickster kind of energy. So as much as you can draw on that the next 30 days from, we recorded this a few days into it, but that May 20th through the June 20th time period, it's really going to help you, right? I believe, and we've chatted about this before, like the more of that energy of play that we can bring into it, it actually helps us to manifest so much easier than when we're trying to like strive against things. So that is my 2 cents. Jessica, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yeah, that's what it's about right now is one, be clear, like how do you move forward in the world? What are you wanting to see? That's what that new moon energy with that Gemini is going to be like. What are you going to want to see with your changes and how you adapt to the world? What do you want to manifest? And when you get clear on that, great. And then go have lots and lots of fun. To have lots of fun, enjoy yourself, move the body, allow the stuff to move through it, and then take care of yourself. And when we're able to be clear about what our intention is, and we take care of ourselves and have lots of fun, this month is going to yield such amazing crops, such amazing results that we're going to see throughout the rest of the year. So it's like the hard work is done. We made it through the first quarter of this solar year. And so now let's have fun as we move into the summer. We'll see what that's like next month, but let's have fun now. You've done good work. You deserve a break. You deserve to have joy and happiness. And we're also kind of easing off of some really intense energies where the energies are moving easier and moving smoother. So sit back and enjoy that and relax and remind yourself, we are in this human body for joy and pleasure. Like Robin said, it's not always going to be fun, but right now we get to have that. That's kind of the gift.
Awesome. All right. So thank y'all for joining us for another episode of In the Flow. Please let us know if this is something that you enjoyed, if you would like us to continue. I was sharing with Jessica that I feel like this is always something that I mean to do. Like I mean to always sit down and like kind of get an idea of the month ahead, and I never do it. So I think it's also good for us. It does kind of help to give us a, foreknowledge of the energies that are coming because they're happening anyway. Like we might as well work with them. That's, the beauty of astrology is continuing to help us to move through these things with more ease and grace and flow. So if you would like astrology readings, you can reach out to either Jessica or myself. I do the Western astrology. Jessica does the galactic astrology. And let us know in the comment box if you enjoyed this, if you want to see more of this. I think we're gonna try at least a few of these because shit, we like doing them. So of course we want to hear about what y'all enjoy, or if there's anything else that you want to see us, and let us know how this energy plays out for you. Kind of any insights or any wins in the comment box. Like us, subscribe, tell all your friends about us, just throw us out there into the world. So thank you guys. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
I can see the stars align Dance around the moon every night, and now my eyes are open wide, and the sky has never looked so bright. And I don't need to see the road to believe, to believe.